All the Young Dudes by MsKingBean89, Chapter 94, Summer 1976, Part 2, The Potters. They caught the night bus back to the Potters. It was Remus's first experience of this bizarre wizard transport, but he was so fuzzy from the lack of sleep and the remnants of the weed that he found himself dozing off in the comfortable purple armchair. Sirius stayed a dog for the duration, but Remus refused to give him any extra points for this. James shook him awake once they arrived. It was late afternoon now. Remus stopped outside of the front gate and looked at James nervously. "Will Dumbledore be there?" "I think he's gone," James said, reassuringly. Moody might have stopped by, though." "For me?" He's seeing Dad. Look, I didn't want to say anything on the bus, but it's been a bad summer, for the war. We're losing." "Losing?" "Yeah, let's talk about it inside. Padfoot." James clicked his fingers at the black dog. Instantly, Sirius transformed back into himself. Remus looked away at once. Still gorgeous then. You bastard! You bastard! Inside, Mrs. Potter came running. "Remus!" She reached her arms up to pull him into a hug. "Euphemia!" a voice barked from the living room. "Oh, for goodness sake," Mrs. Potter muttered. She took a step back and looked Remus in the eye. "What did Motley and I give you for Christmas in 1973? "A chess set," Remus said, quickly, eyeing the door where Moody's voice had come through. "It's him!" Effie called, outstretching her arms once more and hugging him as tightly as their height difference would allow. "We were all so worried about you, dear." "I'm okay," Remus said, embarrassed. "We thought you'd been... Oh, well, it doesn't bear thinking about. People going missing. Dark marks. I really don't." She looked very pale and washed out, as if she had had a lot of bad news lately. Remus felt terrible for adding to her troubles. "Never mind," she said, briskly, smiling again. "Something to eat? Or would you like to wash first? Albus sent you things. They're up in your usual room." My things?" "From the home, dear. Dumbledore sent them first thing this morning." Everything had happened so quickly. Was that really necessary? Moody appeared from the living room. He looked Remus up and down with one eye. The other, he appeared to have injured recently. It was covered by a thick leather patch. The effect made him look even more grizzled and terrifying than ever. "Lupin," he nodded. "A word?" "No, Alistair." Mrs. Potter seemed to have surprised everyone when she turned and placed herself between Remus and Moody. "He's only just arrived, and look at him. He's clearly exhausted. This can wait until tomorrow. Effie, this is a matter of the ministry." "Oh, I don't give a toss," she tutted, shutting him up with a wag of her finger. "He's only 16. He's not of age, and he's in my care. Remus," she turned around, her voice kind again. "You just pop upstairs, eh? I'll have Gully send some food up, but don't you come down until you're quite ready." Remus blinked in amazement. Could it be that an adult actually wanted to leave him alone? That had to be a first. He had a new respect for Euphemia Potter. "Thanks," he murmured, avoiding Moody's fierce gaze and edging past them, ignoring James and Sirius, heading straight for the stairs, climbing them fast as his clunky ep would allow. All of his things had been neatly tidied away into drawers and cupboards in his bedroom, as if he lived there. He wondered what it would be like, having a place like this to call home. A place with a private bedroom, and a house elf, and a mother. He took his wand out of his trunk and held it for a little while, just to feel it. What a day. Remus felt terrible about leaving Grant, after he had been so hospitable with the little he'd had. There were 3 empty bedrooms in the Potter's house. Grant would be sharing a mattress on the floor tonight. He sat on the bed and wished it wasn't so comfortable. He could easily sleep again, but he was hungry too, and didn't want to miss Gully. As if by magic, there was a soft knock at the door. "Come in." James poked his head round. "Hiya. I offered to bring the tray up. I hope you don't mind." Remus made a helpless gesture. James looked awkward. Can I come in? Okay. Can Padfoot? No. Okay. James disappeared, and Remus heard him whisper, "Give him a bit of time, eh?" before reappearing and entering the room with a tray piled high with what looked like ham sandwiches. "Mom suggested soup," he explained, setting him down on the bed. "But I said you'd want something meaty." "Cheers," Remus nodded, grabbing one of the rolls and stuffing it into his mouth. At least then he didn't have to talk. "How are you feeling?" James asked, his eyes full of concern. Remus nodded, mouth full, to indicate that he felt perfectly fine. James nodded back. This is how it will be, Remus thought, glumly. Felt serious to translate between us. James and Remus were very good friends. Best friends. They'd been alone together before, had private conversations, and shared confidences. But somehow, it wasn't the same. Sirius had always been the common denominator, but had always understood them both, bridging the gap, in a way. "Look," James said, "tell me to piss off, if you want, and I'll let you rest, but I need to tell you something. It's important." "Is it about Moody?" Remus asked, swallowing. "Yeah," James said. "Yeah, he'll want to tell you, but Dad and I thought it should come from a friend first." "He's here on ministry business, it sounds like," Remus said, carefully, wanting to understand everything so James didn't need to explain it. "He's an aura. So, has there been an attack?" "Yes." James looked like he was struggling to maintain eye contact, but he was brave, and he did what needed to be done. "Actually, there have been a few this summer, and some people going missing, people on our side. Then, there was another attack, last night, Remus." He put emphasis on this. "Last night, the full moon." "A werewolf," Remus breathed. James nodded, his mouth a grim straight line. Remus put down the sandwich. His stomach growled in protest, but that was just the wolf, wanting more than it deserved, as usual. It would have to starve. "I was at St. Edmund's," Remus said, desperately. "The whole time, locked up. When Pumphrey saw me, I can't have got out. Look." He raised his shirt hurriedly to show James the long, raw gashes across his ribs. James winced and looked away. Remus remembered that James had rarely ever seen the scars. It was Sirius, who had always been so fascinated. "I know," James said, once Remus had replaced his shirt. "And Mum and Dad know. Dumbledore explained everything. He told Moody there was no way you had anything to do with anything. But he'll want to talk to you, anyway." Did anyone get hurt?" "Yeah, a few deaths. Some muggles and a wizard family." "Shit. Are you okay?" "I honestly don't have an answer for your prongs." "Right, sorry." "How's your summer been?" Remus asked, desperate to put off any more bad news. "Good. Yeah, not bad. Well, the war's been... But you know, loads of flying. Mary was here for a bit too, to see Sirius." James stopped short. "Sorry. How is Mary?" "Oh, fine. You know Mary. He sent her home this morning after we heard you were missing. It was his idea to go looking for you. He did nearly everything. Even shouted at Dumbledore. I couldn't believe it." "Okay," Remus said, coldly. James frowned. "Mooney, he's so sorry." "I've heard. It was a mess when he heard you were missing and about the attacks. He thought all sorts of crazy things, that you'd been kidnapped or targeted or something. Can't you at least talk to him? He's miserable." "I don't care how he feels," Remus lied. "I don't want to talk to him." "He's an idiot," James said. "I'm the first to admit it. He doesn't bloody think. He just does whatever comes into his head. But you have to remember, his family, the way they treated him, stuff at Christmas. I know it happened at Christmas, Remus snapped. I was there too, James. Yeah, I know, but... And I felt sorry for him then. I really did. I felt sorry for him when we were kids, and every time they hurt him, when they kicked him out, I spent a lot of time feeling so sorry for him. But this... He stopped. Tears would ruin everything. No tears. James was very quiet. I'll let you rest, he said, finally, getting up to leave. Thursday, 12th August 1976. Remus didn't leave the room for the rest of the afternoon, except once to use the bathroom. It was no better than St. Edmund's, he thought, self-pityingly. Better food, obviously, and magic, and quiet, but... Well, he still spent all of his time trying to avoid everybody, didn't he? Moody was still in the house. He could smell him. Moody had a strange scent, a combination of very strong, powerful magic, heavy and metallic like iron, plus something else, coal embers and charred wood. He would not leave until he spoke with Remus, so Remus stayed put. Sirius's scent was all too familiar, strong in the house, now he called it home, permeating in every room. He hadn't been moping by himself all summer, no matter what James said. Sirius had the Potters and Mary and his best friend, all telling him how wonderful and hard done by he was. Poor little rich boy. Probably hadn't missed Remus at all. Except, James had said. No, Remus stiffened his resolve. Sirius had to pay, even if it was only in Remus's silence. The next day, he went down for breakfast, more out of politeness towards his host than anything else. He tried his best to smile at James's mother and thank her as she served him a bowl of porridge, but scowled when Sirius pushed the jar of honey towards him. He ignored it, and for the first time in his life, ate his porridge unsweetened. It tasted like crap. We'll go to Diagon Alley today, I think, Mrs. Potter said, as the kettle boiled. Your letters arrived this morning. Remus, I'm very sorry, but you'll have to stay here, dear. I'll pick up your bits. I'll get my books second-hand, Remus said, flushing. From the supply at Hogwarts. I've got no money. Oh. Well, I don't mind. I'm already sorting it for James and Sirius. I'm paying you back, Sirius jumped in, eagerly. As soon as I'm 17, I promise. I know, dear, Mrs. Potter patted Sirius's arm fondly. I can't pay you back, Remus said, talking to Mrs. Potter, but glowering at Sirius, gritting his teeth. Even when I'm 17, I haven't got an inheritance. Sirius lowered his eyes, crestfallen. Why can't Remus come, Mum? James jumped in quickly. He's never been before. I'm afraid it's not very safe, love, Mrs. Potter sighed. Dumbledore and Moody both agree. After the attack. Remus dropped his head into his hands. He saw his life unravelling before his eyes. It would always be this way. Places he couldn't go, things he couldn't afford, friends he couldn't speak to. When the war's over, you'd still be a queer werewolf with a chip on your shoulder, that nasty voice returned. Wait, James said, suddenly. Our letters arrived. Remus looked up, confused. Mrs. Potter was smiling mischievously, her eyes twinkling. My goodness, she said, pulling 3 thick envelopes from her pinafore. If it took you that long to cotton on, then I'm very concerned about your owl results. She handed each of the boys their letters, and they tore them open. Remus stared at the list of letters on his parchment. Weirdly, the thing that startled him most was his acceptable for potions. That was definitely Lily Evans's doing. History of magic, outstanding. Cab magical creatures, outstanding. Charms, outstanding. And the rest exceeds expectations. A flutter of excitement started up in his midriff. These were bloody good results. Yes, Mooney, you beauty, James cheered, reading over his shoulder. How did you do? Remus asked, bashfully. James handed over his paper. He'd got almost entirely exceeds expectations in 2 outstandings, one in Defence Against the Dark Arts and the other in Transfiguration. Go and show your father, Mrs. Potter said, after kissing her son gleefully. Mr. Potter had not yet left his study, as far as Remus could tell. James took him a plate of toast too. Sirius was looking at Remus across the table, biting his lip. You did well then? He asked, tentatively. Remus nodded curtly. I'm pretty happy, yeah. He desperately wanted to know what Sirius had done, mostly to find out if he'd done better in the history of magic. Luckily, he didn't need to ask. Sirius slid his parchment across the table. Remus craned his neck to look at it. They had achieved exactly the same number of owls in different subjects. Sirius's outstanding grades had come in Transfiguration, Defence Against the Dark Arts, and, incredibly, Muggle Studies. Remus tried not to smile at this. Instead, he glanced up at Sirius coolly and said, I'll beat you in history. Mrs. Potter and the boys left shortly after breakfast, and Remus was alone. He went outside into the garden and sat on the edge of the low patio wall, staring out at the acres of green open land. He pulled out his fags. Only 3 left. He could maybe go into town later and buy some. He had a bit of shrapnel in his back pocket. Too tall to steal these days. Lupin? Remus opened his shoulders out and stiffened too visibly at the sound of the gruff voice. He turned, slowly. All right, Moody. He was glad to have the cigarette, something to hide behind. May I join you? Remus shrugged. Moody sat down on the wall beside him. Lovely day. Yeah, terrific. No doubt the Potter boys spilled the beans on the werewolf attack. Remus nodded, appreciating Alistair's bluntness. Let's get this over with. Yup, he exhaled, slowly, making a smoke ring. What do you want to ask me? You know I was locked up. I've spoken with Albus and Poppy. They've both confirmed your whereabouts. Yippee, Remus said, sarcastically. Moody gave him a stern look with his still functioning eye. We have suspects, though. One in particular. Someone you might have heard of. Remus went cold. His hands began to shake. He pretended he was just flicking ash. Greyback? He asked, his voice colourless. Greyback, Moody confirmed. Remus stubbed out the cigarette and gripped the wall with both hands, as if he might fall. I didn't know he was... I hadn't heard of him attacking anyone in a long time. I thought he was abroad somewhere. Been doing your research, have you? Moody said, a note of challenge in his voice. Can't say I blame you, lad. I'd want to know everything I could. He's not tried to contact you, then? No! Remus was shocked. Why on earth? If you've done your research properly, and Dumbledore says you're clever, then you'll know Greyback has a particular penchant for children. Remus had to stop himself from touching the ancient scar on his side, those 11-year-old teeth marks. Never wondered why? He's a monster, Remus said, firmly. He fumbled with his cigarette packet. He needed another one to keep steady. But he wouldn't give for a spliff. He is, Moody agreed. But he's got a motive, mad as it seems. We've reason to believe that he likes to turn kids young, so he can show up when they're old enough and strong enough to join him. Join him? In his mind, he's your father, Moody said, as if it was nothing. They want you to take up the family trade, as it were. That's disgusting! Remus stood up, practically shouting. It is, Moody replied, unperturbed. But you need to be aware. Greyback hasn't been in Britain since the last person he turned. Here, he gave Remus a very pointed look. But a Wizarding family was killed last night. All except their youngest child, who was bitten, but survived. A dark mark had been cast above the house. He was definitely working with Voldemort then. Just brilliant. Is this why I can't go to Diagon Alley? It's best if you stay away from wizard-populated areas for a while, till we catch him. Hogwarts? Hogwarts is safe, Moody said, but not Hogsmeade. I'm asking Dumbledore to keep you away. Oh, okay. And no more running away. That was about something else, Remus sighed. Then he thought of something. What happened to the kid? The one that was bitten? He raised a cigarette to his lips and sucked, but realised he hadn't lit it. Moody snapped his fingers and it ignited immediately. At St. Mungo's, the Auror said. Being treated. They'll be fine. Oh, will they? Remus could have laughed. He looked out across the fields again. It was such a beautiful day. Until the next moon, I suppose. The right people got there in time. We'll do what we can. The right people. Remus wondered whether the right people had been responsible for his being carted off to St. Edmund's. We have a mutual friend, Moody said, out of the blue. Remus frowned at him. Leo Ferox, good man. Oh, right. How do you know him? We were at school together. Cross paths at work sometimes, and of course working with Dumbledore. I hear you and your pals are planning to join up yourselves. That right? Remus had the impression that Moody knew the answer to this, and just wanted Remus to confirm it himself. Yes, he nodded. I know I'm not James, but I'm not bad at dueling, and if I can help, I want to. If you're anything like your father, you'll be more than a help. Remus nodded, dumbly. How was he supposed to know whether he was anything like his father? What a stupid thing to say. To know about that, he said, bitterly. I have a few limitations my father didn't have. Could look at it that way, Moody tilted his head. Could look at it another way. How many werewolves do you think we've got on our side? Remus frowned, as if Moody had sworn at him. Is that why Dumbledore had kept him so close? Is that why he hadn't alerted the Ministry as soon as Remus was reported missing? He didn't know if that was better or worse. At least someone thought he was useful.